Hey guys, welcome back. I have a new phone, so I was like not totally sure where to look. And that's also why you can probably see a whole bunch more detail, which I'm sure I'll be thrilled to look at in the final video. My name's Jana Kindred. Welcome back to my channel. Today let me just start by saying I wasn't certain if I was going to continue making videos. I'm still not really certain if I'm going to keep making videos, but I thought, what the hell, I'll give it a shot and do one more and see if I'm into it or not. So today I'm coming to you with not a stitch of makeup on my face because I thought I would show you, like I talked about in my last video, how I am hoping I'm like looking at the right spot, because on this, I have an iPhone 11 now, upgraded from an iPhone 7. And it's hard to see. One thing I don't like about this phone is it's hard to see where the lens is and where I should actually look. So I'm going to start off by priming, and I'm going to use the Milk Hydro Primer, which is a fan favorite Hydro Grip primer, I should say. I initially bought the sample size. I really like that more companies are putting out sample sizes that you can buy in like a Sephora store, because who wants to pay $40 or $50 for an item that you don't know if you're gonna like it? So yeah, I'll pay $15 for the sample size, but what I noticed comparatively, it seemed like the sample one ran out extremely quickly compared with the full size. So I think you do obviously get a much better value when you buy the full size. But anyway, so I wanted to do this video to show you that I have a lot of hyperpigmentation, I have a lot of sun damage, and I'm almost 42 years old, so I'm aging. I have aging skin, and that's one of the reasons why, one stupid reason I guess, why I don't really love making videos is that I don't like looking at myself on camera that much at this point, now that I'm seeing more aging in my skin. However, as I've said before, I'm on a mission to get over that bullshit that I've been taught since I was tiny, that it's not okay to be anything other than a plastic Barbie doll or something when you're a woman. I'm fucking over it. So you know what? If I have wrinkles, so be it. I also haven't really mentioned this, I don't think, but I volunteer with seniors, and I love them. And spending time with senior women and just looking at their aged skin, looking at their very thin, wrinkled skin, I feel so much reverence. By the way, my neighbors are very noisy today, so, you know, deal with it. Seeing the way their skin is and seeing how the bone structure underneath is still beautiful, and there's a unique type of beauty to me in aging itself. And so that's something I want to embrace, and I want to learn how to see myself not as like my aging skin is invading my face and taking my face away, but as like my face is still my face and it's just evolving as I change, and that's okay as I age. Which beats the alternative, right? I guess these days that's something we need to stay extra present to. And of course, I got some delicious dark matter coffee in the old cock mug. And today we're drinking Star Puffs, which is a roast they made especially for the sad time that we're in. And I really love that about this company, that they do that. They make special roasts for different occasions, and you can always feel the love behind it. So that's really cool. So for foundation, I've been going back and forth between I've been using a beauty blender for a while. And then recently I bought this cheaper beauty blender that was on sale at Target, and it had glitter all over it, and I was like glitter embedded in it. And I was like, whatever, maybe it won't transfer, but it does transfer. And I was like, well, obviously, you know, when something's on sale when normally it wouldn't be, you're like, why is this particular thing on sale? And as soon as I looked at it and saw glitter, I'm like, oh, that's probably why no one's gonna buy it. So I thought, what the hell, I'll try it. It amazes me. I'm like, why would a company make something that's gonna put glitter, like stick glitter in your foundation? Nobody wants glitter in their foundation. That just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, some people do, but most people don't. Anyway, so I'm gonna use this It Cosmetics foundation brush, which I used the other day. So I got this recently, and I've talked about it a little bit. It's the Pure Cosmetics 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie Foundation. I found out about this first through Raw Beauty Christie, and she's always touting it. It's like her favorite. And as soon as I used it, I was like, yeah, dude, that's why she loves it. Two cool things. One, it has a pump top and it has a doe foot applicator because it can be used as a foundation and as a concealer. So that's pretty neat. I just use it as a foundation. But then in my Ipsy bag the other day, I got this Wander Beauty Nude Illusion liquid foundation, and I was really blown away by the texture of it. And so, you know, I don't know if anyone ends up watching this channel. I don't know if it would appeal. Like, I like the idea of people like me who have aging skin but still want to wear bomb-ass makeup and don't feel like... I don't subscribe to the idea of aging gracefully or changing my style to meet my age. What is her name? I'm trying to think. Baddie Winkle. Have you guys heard of Baddie Winkle? Maybe I'll include a link or something below. She is... I think she's in her 90s now. Badass senior lady who wears the most wild clothing, will wear bikinis, rainbows. She's like Lisa Frank threw up on her house. She is my spirit animal, and I love her so much. Maybe I wouldn't be that wild. She's like a club kid, but she's 90 something. And I just fucking love that and admire it so much. I admire that spirit. I challenge every person out there to defy the bullshit that you have to age a certain way. You can age however the fuck you want to age, and you can be you at any age that you're at. And the more authentically you are with how you express yourself and your style and whatever, the more you draw people in because they're intrigued by someone who has the confidence to just go ahead and go for it. I love that idea. So one thing I want to point out though is, you know, in Ipsy, the options for like choosing your skin tone and stuff are pretty limited. So it's like, well, I'm fair to medium, you know. Usually I'm in a little bit more of a medium, and I always think of myself as being super fair skinned. In this video, I guarantee I look lighter, like I have a lighter skin tone, but then I look at people who have like a really fair skin tone that's lighter than mine, like a friend of mine I'm thinking of. And it's like, it's surprising that there can be such a range even among white girls. So another thing I want to mention is on camera, part of the reason I say I'll appear a lot lighter than I probably do in person, and I'm sure I do in person, is because there's lighting. I have a ring light over my camera. And then the other thing I learned from Robert Welsh, who is a fantastic influencer. No, he's not an influencer. He's a makeup artist first. But Robert said something that I was surprised to hear after I had seen myself in while I'm editing my videos, and I'm like, God damn, I look like a ghost, man. Like, I'm white, but I'm not that white. Well, he said that he said he does this foundation 2 shades darker on camera than he does in real life. And I was like, oh, well, okay. So I'm not gonna do that, so I'm still gonna look like a fucking ghost. But anyway. And I'm like debating because I really like this Wander Beauty stuff, but the last time I was on camera, I had the pure foundation on, and I looked pale enough as it is. But shit, you know what? I'm gonna go for the Wander Beauty because I used it the other day, and the finish on it was so amazing. And I'm using this because I have aging skin, and maybe anyone's watching this if they identify with that. This is one of those foundations that's kind of runny. It's like pretty liquidy, which I kind of like. It seems like it has a good amount of oil in it, but it says it's a weightless fluid foundation formulated for full coverage with a natural radiant finish. And I agree, it definitely gives a radiant finish. The other day when I used it, I ended up going on an impromptu paddleboarding excursion, and I didn't get to leave it on long enough to see like how long it holds up. But what's happening more and more for me that's a challenge with aging skin is I notice like certain makeup settling into the wrinkles around my eyes more, and it's annoying. So I guess as I experience that more, I'm seeking more foundations that make it so that I don't feel like I need too much concealer, because concealer is the culprit a lot of times. And probably someone who's a real professional artist like Robert would say, Robert Welsh would say, you have to find the right product for your skin type. That's pretty much always the case. And a lot of us get suckered into buying stuff because, you know, it's a trend, but maybe that trend isn't suitable for us personally. So anyway, here we go. look how light that is. How much lighter than my skin tone. So you can see, you know, I've always had a lot of freckles. If you saw my mom, you'd be like, whoa, okay, you got the milder, less intense skin, if that makes sense. Intense isn't the right word, but my mom is extremely fair and freckly and like not, she doesn't tan. I tan very easily. I always have, but I usually burn first. And I will always tan even with sunblock on, with plenty of sunblock on. And I've been pretty good, fortunately. Look at what an amazing job this is doing of covering all that discoloration. That makes me happy to see it go away. The thing with hyperpigmentation, I think I'm talking about it correctly, is like, let's say if I go out even on a cloudy day, if I go paddleboarding or if I go outside for like even 20 minutes. And I think even, it doesn't matter if I always wear SPF 50 at least on my face, and it really doesn't matter. I will have, like up in here, the areas that look kind of freckly ordinarily will look like dark brown patches. They'll just be like patches on my skin. It's amazing. It's almost like the sun just makes it glow from underneath your skin. I was talking to my mom the other day and explaining that, and she's like, yep, I get that too. They always say the aging that you do, the damage you do to your skin happens when you're younger, and then as you get older, it starts to become more visible, and that's completely true for me. I did spend plenty of time tanning intentionally and allowing my face to get tan even, which is the dumbest shit of all time when there's a such thing as bronzer, yo, oh my God. Leaf blowers, my personal favorite. Back to the whole hyperpigmentation thing. Yeah, and you can see it pretty well up in here into where my hairline normally would be if I didn't shave the sides of my head. It's like all of a sudden the skin is lighter because that was covered with hair for so many years that it protected the skin. So the skin of my scalp, it doesn't have all that hyperpigmentation. Although when I shave my head, which I do periodically, I now have age spots on the top of my head that are awkward. And yes, if you're wondering, I totally put makeup on my bald head. I give no fucks. I love having my head shaved, and once I shave it, the problem is the thing that leads to, like, that prevents me from doing it, I end up it's awkward to grow it back out because I have really thin, sparse hair, and so it looks awkward, and it's so hard to get past the awkward stage. So I'll just keep shaving it off because it's like the in-between is too weird. But when you're a female with a shaved head, you find out that people always want to tell you what they think about it. And usually, in my case, luckily, it's complimentary, and that's nice. So I don't mean to be a dick about it. Whenever I see a woman with a shaved head, even if she's rocking that shit, the most I'll do is I'll give her a recognition look, like, yeah, girl. But I'll say, you look good. I'll never be like, I love your hair, because it gets so old. I know I'm being a dick, but dude. Or like another thing, this is kind of a random aside, but this was an enlightening moment. Once I had the experience of hearing this woman talk about how much it hurt her and upset her to hear her husband was like extremely tall, like 6'6", 6'7". She was talking about how upsetting it was to constantly have people only talk to him about his height and treat him like that, like almost objectify him because he's tall and be like, oh, you're so tall, how tall are you? Like, can you imagine every day of your life, almost every person you encounter asking you about your height? That's what was nice about having my head shaved. At least I could grow it back. But or people sometimes don't say anything because they're sensitive enough to recognize that maybe you have an illness and that's why you don't have hair. When you're tall or you're extremely short or something like that, whatever it is, you're stuck with that. And it's just, to me, it's polite. It's an act of kindness to say nothing. Seriously. So this is something I keep debating. The discoloration extends onto my eyelids. I'm not going to wear eyeshadow today. And even if I was wearing eyeshadow, I still end up putting foundation on my eyelids, which I think is fine, but concealer, not so much, because concealer has oil in it usually. This I learned from Robert Welsh. Concealer has oil in it. Eyelids are naturally oily, so putting oil on top of that and then putting eyeshadow on top of that, you're asking for your eyeshadow to get to not last. So you're better off just using an actual primer on your eyelids and not putting anything else on them. But I still always find myself using a little bit of foundation on them because my eyelids look so purple without any color correction. Also, yeah, I could use color correctors, but I've found over time, I used to always use a yellow color corrector under my eyes for the dark circles I have, which are totally genetic. I used to always use the yellow color corrector, but I feel like foundations, either that or just my, you know, use of them has gotten better, but I feel like foundations have gotten better. If I use the right foundation that has the right amount of yellow tone to it, I don't feel like I need to use a color corrector. Like, painfully slow to do this way while talking, so I'm sorry if I'm like rambling. Hopefully I'm saying something useful. All right, so now I'm gonna use some concealer, and I have been using the Tarte creaseless concealer. I like it okay, but it isn't creaseless if you have aging skin. Either that or it's just the way I'm using it. So I don't want to criticize them if it's just that, you know, criticize that product if it's just me. And then I recently bought the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Creamy Cleanser, concealer. And as you can see, this shade I purchased is too, it's a little bit like, it seems a little too yellow and not enough pink for my skin tone. So, but I actually like the texture of it a little bit more, but I think it's a little too light. So I'm just gonna go back with the Tarte one and take the advice that, again, I learned from Robert Welsh, and just do like a dot, one dot on the inner corner, and he does like 2 dots on the outer corner. This is way less than I've used in the past. And the thing is, like, you know, there's this sort of thing you have to have when your skin is aging, where you just say, well, this is how it is now. And unfortunately, you know, if your skin is younger, you can get away with putting a bunch of concealer under your eyes and it still looks okay. But if your skin is like mine, you know, you won't have the discoloration under the eye, but you're gonna have a bunch of like wrinkles that are highlighted by concealer that's stuck in them. You gotta do your best with what you got. Or get fillers, and I'm not doing that yet. Now, not doing that. Not that I'm against it necessarily, but I actually just watched a video, maybe I'll link that below too, with a doctor who does fillers and stuff, and it was on why he doesn't really do fillers anymore. He does them super conservatively, and he was talking about how over time, even if they're placed well, they just flatten out and make your face fuller. I hated my face. I wouldn't say hated it. I've always appreciated the whole pretty privilege kind of idea. I have been grateful for the face that I have, let's say, but I always had, my face was too round. I was, you know, 10 pounds, 15, 20 pounds heavier. My face was too round. I hated my face. And then I finally somehow managed to stay the way I've been for a long time. And I really like the way my face has changed. And that was what the doctor was saying in the video too. He said a lot of his older clients were telling him that they actually like their face more as they get older, which I can totally concur with, because the nice thing about losing fat in the face or having the face sag a little bit is now my cheekbones are higher. Now my bone structure is actually more prominent. But the last thing I want to do is go inject my face with a bunch of stuff that's going to make it rounder again. So not that it necessarily would, I don't know. So next I'm going to do some contour, and I want to show you some. So I've been, and see what you guys notice. I've been using this Anastasia contour kit for a few years and it's my second one. They last a long time, even using them almost every day, but you can tell obviously which ones I've used more and less. But then I replaced it, and maybe it's just me, but I swear the colors don't look the same to me. So let me hold them up for you and you see what you notice, or if you notice any difference. They don't look identical to me. And what it is this looks a lot warmer here, doesn't it? That's the only one that now that I look at it again, I'm like, maybe that's the only one that looks different to me. But I wonder if that's something that is as visible to other people as it is to me. So, and that cooler shade, yeah, dude, it's totally warmer. And that cooler shade I like a lot better on my face. I feel like if you want a contour shade, you want it cooler. Like cooler brown is definitely better than something warmer, which is more like what you would use for your bronzer. So anyway, that's just what I think I know. So I'm using the old palette even though I have the new one. I try to do contour pretty conservatively, and that's partly why I really like the powder contour, because it's a lot subtler than a cream contour would be. And I pretty much have the same routine. I kind of just go underneath the cheekbone here. I go along the edge of my jawline, which I don't even know is necessary because I don't see a lot of other people necessarily doing that, but I do it. It's kind of the habit I got into. I also do my ears a little bit because I don't want my ears to just be like, I did put, actually I don't know if I did that today, but I normally do a little bit of foundation on my ears just to like kind of take down the bit of redness and also to make it so my ears match with my face. And I do bring it down my neck. I bring the primer and the foundation down my neck and try to blend it down to kind of the middle. And especially for me, having the sides of my head shaved, I do also blend my foundation back onto the sides of my head a little bit, just so it's not like a cut off weird mask line. And you know, back to the idea of looking weird, I'm cool with that. As long as there's a difference to me between looking like dramatic and maybe like your techniques are something that aren't for everyone, but your techniques are executed correctly. That's the difference. Like, is it done with intention? Is it done thoughtfully? Is it done in a way that's flattering? Cool. Is it something maybe not everyone would do? You know, not everyone's gonna shave the sides of their head, but I kind of think they should. I have a theory that that's flattering on, like mohawks are flattering on everyone, or a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people. I wish more people would just go for it because it's built-in air conditioning. It's a fun conversation starter if you're in the mood to talk about it, and if you're not, you just wear a hat. I've still gotten compliments while wearing it. I've gotten compliments on my hair while wearing a hat, which is always weird. I'm like, people, it's like when you have a hairstyle like this, people want to talk about it. And I'll tell you what, I have my hairstyle like this because it's comfortable, it's easy, and I don't have to pay anybody else to do it for me. I do it my damn self. I'm really not used to doing my complexion and talking like this at the same time, and it's really awkward, so I'm not sure how good my makeup is turning out. That's the concern I have. We'll find out. So if my foundation looks like shit in this, or if my complexion looks like shit in this video compared to how you've seen it before, then that's why. The video I'm doing on complexion is the one where my complexion looks the worst. Go figure. I mean, you see how much of a, this foundation has so much of a nice glow to it, and I love that. I think that looks really nice. And then I'll usually go in a little bit with this shade that I just use kind of as a setting powder, because I will go back in at the end and use that Laura Mercier setting powder that I use. But here I'm just kind of like setting the little bit of concealer I did use. Actually, I just realized I didn't do any concealer in a couple of the other areas that I normally would, so let me just do that after doing my I usually just like do a little bit through this area and down my nose. And I'm gonna try to not disrupt the contour that I just put on my nose. But like, you know, my version of contour is way more subtle than some. Than some people do it. I don't do the really dramatic lines. Like when you have aging skin, doing anything like that that's dramatic, like it's like you want everything more blended out, because I think that's the key. Oops. I think that's the key to making your face look as youthful as possible and making your skin look as radiant as possible. I think the more that you do harsh lines and you have aging skin, the less flattering it becomes. When you're younger, when your skin is younger, I still do stuff with harsh lines like my brows and sometimes the way I do my eyeshadow or eyeliner, but I try to do it strategically so it's still as flattering even with the aging skin on my face. And I'm gonna use a little bit of that highlight, which I'm still gonna use other highlight, and I don't know if that's rational to do that and then the other one, but that's what I'm in the habit of doing, so that's what I'm just showing you guys. I'm basically just giving you the accurate impression of how I would do my makeup on a regular ass day. Little bit of the highlight on the Cupid's bow, a little bit on the chin, a little bit down the nose, and I'm using the same brush, which is partly why I'm getting a more general type of application. If I really wanted to cut out all those shapes, I would use smaller, more detailed brushes to make the shapes than what I'm actually using. And now I'm going to go in with a little bit of bronzer, and I just recently picked up this, where did you go? Oh, it's not here. I have to go somewhere else and get it. I'm back. I don't know if how it looks on camera right now, but to me, like, I don't know if it's because I'm in different lighting than I normally do my makeup, but I feel like the contour looks really harsh right now, so I'm going to try to blend that out. And I'm using this Morphe brush. It's one of their vegan brushes, and I'm going to use a little bit of the Physicians Formula butter bronzer, which part of the using of this, one of the most important steps is sniffing it repeatedly, because it smells like it smells like coconut and the beach, and it's really nice. I normally am not big on scented products. I think adding scents to things that go on your face is irrational, because they serve no actual purpose other than to like get people to buy them, and it's not good for your, like, scents aren't good for your skin. They're inherently not. So I make an exception because this shit smells so good, and it's subtle. It's not like I know there's some brands whose stuff is so intentionally heavily scented that it's like perfume combined with your makeup, and that is a major turnoff to me personally. Some people love that, and it's just not for me. But here and there's products or like skincare, like face washes and stuff, where I know the scent is not like ideal, and it's better to get something that's unscented. Recently, I started purchasing skincare products by The Ordinary, that company, The Ordinary, and I really like that. I like the simple packaging. I like the simple product. I like the fact that it's unscented. I have naturally very sensitive skin, so using products like that are just bare bones, this is the ingredients that are good for your skin, and there's not this other frou-frou marketing crap, is really nice. Those products that so far have been amazingly soothing to my skin. I've been using a cleanser. It's a Squalane cleanser. I've been using the moisturizer that has, I think it's hyaluronic acid, and I also bought a 5% retinol, which I've been afraid to use because I've been going out in the sun too much lately, and it's just, I had one bad incident where I burned the shit out of my face because I didn't do stuff I did stuff wrong that I wasn't supposed to do after having had a peel. And that was the most humbling experience. And it involved using retinol after having had a peel and going into a chlorinated pool. And I legit burnt my face, and it was painful for weeks and sensitive. And I was like, okay, I'm not doing that again. So now when it comes to using anything like retinol on my sensitive skin, I'm gonna patch test it. And I think also the one I got is 5%, and I think that's a little strong to start with, so I'm afraid to use it. I'm never a patch test person. I'm like, I'm sure it's fine. That's like a favorite quote of mine that was a joke between my ex-husband and I. Like taking something out of the fridge that's expired, and I'm like, I'm sure it's fine. Because I'm like, I don't worry too much. I'm not a paranoid kind of person. I'm fine with taking little chances, but not with retinol. So I thought I had purchased a different one, and I thought there was like a lower level one, like a 2%. This is how little I know about this stuff. I should know more at my age, and since I'm complaining about my fucking wrinkles or whatever, but okay, this is looking a little bit better. Now I'm more blended. Hopefully I look less ghost-like to you watching. Oh yeah, it smells so good. I just want to keep putting it on. And yeah, I like to blend the bronzer down into my neck so that, again, I don't have one shade here and one shade here, because that's not pretty. And naturally, that's a funny thing. Until I put my foundation on, and you may have noticed this in the beginning of the video, my skin on my face is like several shades darker than the skin on my neck. And I don't exactly understand that, but I guess it's just because I don't think I always have worn clothing that like covered my neck and not my face. I'm surprised that there's that much of a difference in the way that my face is, but who knows? So anyway, there's that. Now it's time to do brows. So I'm gonna do that and come right back. All right, I'm back. Now the heater's making weird noises. This is the day of noise. I live in a city, and it's like, I kind of like the idea of people being able to hear the city noise, because it's like you get a feel for where I am while I'm filming. And we're all alone, or we're all at home these days, so it's kind of nice to experience someone else's home. Okay, where am I? Highlight, blush, yeah, brows are on. If you're curious how I did my eyebrows, I did them the same way I always do, which is the soap brow technique. I will say, looking at my foundation now, I've noticed that because I'm not, case in point, because I'm not doing my makeup in the same way I normally would, in the same lighting and everything, and as particularly the same mirror kind of situation. I was looking at myself from farther away this time. I actually really like the way my foundation looks because I feel like it looks a lot lighter, like it's a lighter application. And this Wander Beauty foundation is one of my favorites that I've tried in a long time. I am sure I'm going to get a full size, although I think I'm going to get a shade deeper than this one, which is Fair Light. I'm pretty fair, but this is a little bit on the lighter side for me. So especially now that it's getting into summer and being a paddleboarder, the light reflecting off the water. I wear a sun hat that covers, like, where is it? It's normally over here. I wear a sun hat that covers part of my face, but when you have the light reflecting off the water, it's almost like it doesn't really do anything. So I looked online to see what my different options were, and it's basically like I would be completely covered except for my eyes if I were to properly protect my face and neck from the sun. And this is the decision you have to make when you're a person who both cares about the way your skin looks and how it ages, and you're a person who really loves outdoor activities on the water like I do. That to me, it's like, well, I'm going to accept a certain level of aging because honestly, I really love the feeling of that breeze on my skin. I always feel like there's opportunity cost. Life is short. I want to enjoy the sensation of the breeze on my skin, and that is worth the trade-off to have to go through more hassles to make my skin remain younger looking. So I do wear a lot of SPF on my face. I'll paddle for a couple of hours at a time a lot of times, so I'll bring sunblock in my Camelback backpack, and I'll spray myself while I'm out. And that's the thing, is like, if you're concerned about aging skin, if you spend any length of time outside on any kind of regular basis and you don't want your skin to age, I can't emphasize this enough. The number one best thing to do is cover your skin with fabric that has SPF in it. And if there's a way to cover your face, or now these days covering it with masks, hey, that's going to help with protecting your skin from the sun. So there's at least one big positive. I started becoming wise to sun protective fabric from having this amazing tattoo and my other tattoos that were very time consuming, very expensive, and done by a masterful artist. And I feel a ton of guilt for all the time I've allowed my tattoos to be impacted by sun. So I have been better about, I bought an SPF 50 rash guard, which is basically a long sleeve shirt that covers my tattoos and protects them from the sun. I wear those black hair colorist gloves, and now that I have tattooing all the way up to my fingernails, I was wearing the half gloves because they covered up what I had before, but now that I have the rest, I wear gloves that cover my whole hand if I'm out in the sun. And I have a tattoo on the side of my leg that is also really beautiful, and I don't want to damage it, so I cover that part with with a pair of shorts that are also have SPF fabric, which you can get at most like sporting goods stores or obviously online. So let's see, blush. Okay, so I'm gonna use a couple of blushes, which I have been. This is the Galifornia by Benefit blush. I mean, it's not new, so hopefully they're still doing it. They're always doing different like new little cute blushes, but I really like this sort of peachy pink color. I'm a pretty subtle blush. I apply my blush pretty subtly is what I'm trying to say. Some people like a lot, and I like it to just give you that little bit of a flush. I do really like, though, I see more people doing it on their nose, like up onto the bridge of their nose, and I like that because it kind of looks like the sun kissed your nose and your cheeks, and it's pretty. All right, and I feel like it kind of blends into the deeper freckly shade I already have on my nose, even though I have makeup on, but I feel like some of that still shows through. And that's what I like about this particular makeup application, is it's light enough that I feel like I still have full coverage, but if you really look, you can see some of the, you could see my freckles and stuff showing through, and I like that because I want my skin to look like skin, not like skin with a thick layer of foundation on it. If you are familiar at all with painting, if you have any experience with oil painting and you know what gesso is, gesso is it's like a primer that you apply to a canvas before you paint on it. I feel like people, when they have like a full coverage foundation and they apply it heavily, it totally looks like gesso. It's appealing to some people because it's like this flat, perfect base, and it can be really satisfying. And if that's the look that you like, fuck yeah, you know what? Wear it. Like, you should wear whatever you like. I personally don't like as heavy of coverage, and I think aging skin generally looks best with lighter coverage. That's my personal opinion in my exploration of having the beginning stages of aging skin, or earlier stages, I should say. This is an old Morphe palette that is broken because it's so old, and obviously you can tell which blush shades I tend to go for. This one was my favorite. I'm still trying to dip into like the very edges of it. This one is close, but it's just not quite as deep. I like to use that, and then I like to use a little bit of this, which to me is almost like a rose tinted bronzer. It's really subtle too, and I think that's really pretty. So where's my, oh dang, I didn't bring the blush brush I would normally use for that. Well, I'm gonna bust out this pretty guy that you know I like, Luxie 640 Pro Precision tapered brush. Another Ipsy win. And I'm just doing this sort of on top of the contour that I did there, just a little bit, really soft and subtle. And then I'm just gonna go with that peachy bronze I described and go over sort of the apples of the cheeks and up onto the bridge of the nose a little bit. And I also like to go into the tip of my nose a little bit with it, which I never used to do, but I think it's kind of a cute look. And now I'm gonna do a little bit of highlight, and this is another Ipsy sample. I'm thinking maybe since I keep talking about Ipsy, I should just make my channel like more Ipsy reviews or something. I really, you know, sometimes they send too many repetitive type items or whatever, but given the type of service they are, I think they do a really good job of making the products varied enough, but staying within your preferences. I really like having an Ipsy subscription. I think it's been somewhat of a game changer for me because it made it possible for me to try stuff that I just wouldn't have spent the money on before. So Wander Beauty Wanderess Glow in the shade After Hours. And this is a little more gold, or like, this is kind of a champagne. And that's, you know, for me, that's a highlight shade that really turns me on for whatever reason. That sort of like, this I guess is a lighter version. This is that one that I used up completely in the other contour palette. So this is obviously a little, well, got a lot more sheen to it, a little more intensity. I'm going in with the same brush I use for my blush, and I'm just gonna do a little bit on my cheekbones. I try to keep it more up here, which is, again, I keep referring to him because he's taught me a lot in a short time. Robert Welsh, he's great. He's freaking great. But with the highlight, and again, it's a preference thing. You know, you have some people that like to like really bring it down onto the apples of their cheeks and a ton on their nose and all that stuff. And I just, because I'm going for a softer look, I don't do that. But no judgment if you like to highlight the living daylights out of your face. You do that. Do what makes you feel good. That's the whole point. Makeup is supposed to be fun. And then I do a little bit on the bridge of my nose, just a little bit. And then here, I sometimes do a little on the tip of my nose here, but that's another fun thing that's happening as I'm aging. The tip of my nose is visibly widened, which is a fun thing that runs in the family. So yeah. And then I want to show you another, I might as well just call this the Robert Welsh fangirl video now. Another thing that I learned from him that I thought was great is if you do have aging skin, or you have like the issue with, it was in his video where he talks about using concealer. If you have lines around your eyes where you see the concealer settling in, just take your fingertip and just really gently sort of press in it, and the warmth of your fingertip, that's why I was doing that before, because I looked in this mirror over here and saw these creases in my eyes when I don't wear any kind of makeup on my eyelids. The concealer or whatever I've used will sink into them, and so I'll just use a little bit of pressure and gently sort of press with my finger. And that's something that you might have to do a couple of times during the day, but whatever. It's, you know, it's just one of the realities of living with aging skin. And then I'm gonna do, I love this part. I'm projecting onto you that you love it too. All right, and Laura Mercier setting powder, you know this shit, with this Farrah brush, Farrah 160F face brush. I really like this brush. I think it's a beautiful brush, and if you know me, you know that I have a thing for brushes that are enjoyable just to use, and hopefully they function well too, but if they don't, I'll still try to get away with using them. So that's another thing, I just don't use a ton of powder because I feel like that's just gonna encourage more creasing and more texture to show as the day goes on. So I just like to put just a little bit, and I intentionally do it after putting on the setting spray because I feel like the two work well together that way. That's just the way I do it. I don't know if everyone else would agree that that's a good way to do it. And I use it kind of, again, like I said, sparingly, and then I'll kind of go just right above the tail of my brow and sort of like give that area a little mattification, if you will. And that's pretty much it. Throw a little lip gloss on and you've got yourself a finished look. I like it. This is a simple kind of everyday, this is what I think of as a no makeup look. By the time this video is done, I'm done filming, it's probably taken me like 40 minutes, but in real life, yeah, it would probably take me about 30 minutes with brows, a little bit less, to do this face. This is a great, to me, sort of like, you know, any day. I could wear this doing whatever and not feel like I have, and to a lot of people who don't have as keen of an eye for makeup, they might not even think that I'm wearing makeup, but it's really just evened out my skin tone, giving it a little bit of brightness, a little bit of a glow, help to sort of give it some lift too, which I also think when you're someone who's dealing with aging skin, little things that you do with your makeup can serve to give your face a little bit of that lift. I think the way that I do my eyebrows probably makes my face look a little bit younger, maybe? I don't know. Tell me what you think if you have an opinion on that. I struggle with the whole, now that I'm seeing more of this sort of like more hooded eyelids, more sagging in the eyelid, especially I see it on this side. That's a newer thing that I didn't used to have. God damn it. I kind of go back and forth. It's like I'll feel compelled to put on a bunch of eye makeup because it can kind of cover that up or make an illusion that it's like less visible, but I don't always want to wear eyeshadow. And lately, because spring is sprung, every time I try to put my eyeshadow on, this eye will start to water and fuck up my eyeshadow, so it becomes an annoying process. And it's telling me also, I try to listen to my body and it's being like, hey, putting on eye makeup is irritating to me right now, don't do that. Unless I really want to have the makeup on, I've been leaving it off more often lately because it's just easier on my eyes. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. I want to acknowledge that by the time you see this, it'll probably be a couple days from now, but today marks 2 years since I had a drink, and I'm pretty excited about that. And I'd like to make a video about my experience of dealing with alcohol addiction and recovery, all kinds of stuff. I could talk about that ad nauseum, but I thought I would probably rather talk about that subject as a standalone video rather than try to wrap it up with talking about complexion makeup. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, please like and subscribe down below, and I'll catch you on the next one.